Isabel is really at the center of it. And she's also the only one who can break free and release her brother and older sister at the same time, because she's the one who has the best imagination.
The mother unicorn takes care of the Flippy.
Here's where my family comes in. My whole family is very wildly imaginative. So these kids, Isabel is a champion at pretend. Her brother's pretty darn good at it. Matilda gets better.
Sitting here with Robin Rice Lichtig, the playwright, for Play Nice here at the Venus Theatre Play Shack. We're opening in September. So thanks for coming in to check out our rehearsal today.
They jump.
Oh, they're jumping baby unicorns.
There are several different inspirations, but one of them, which is particularly interesting, I think, is I was newly living in New York City, and I took a certain train to get to Midtown to see plays. And on the subway platform, there was an elderly Chinese man who was always playing his violin. He was incredible. You know, musicians in New York subways will go where they get really good sound. So he was on this one platform, on the N train platform at 42nd Street playing. And one day, I went by and he was playing as usual, but on the opposite platform across the tracks, there was a young man with an electric guitar.
Oh, wow.
And he was playing, and they both just stopped, and they were shouting at each other. And the old Chinese man is saying, "You are in my space. You are in my airspace. This is my place." And the young guy is screaming, "It's not your place. It's a public." You know.
Right.
So I'm thinking about this, and about who owns air and spaces.
Right.
And personal space. How far does that extend?
Well, their favorite food is bugs.
When I came back, they were actually playing together. And that gave me the basis for a whole scene with Luce. If you see the play, you'll see with Luce having his space and the interloper coming in and saying, "No, that's her space."
Flies.
The other big inspiration was living in Ridgewood, New Jersey, which is a very snooty town. I didn't realize it when we bought a house there and raised our children.
But it's not. We at Venus Theatre have nothing against the residents of Ridgewood.
No, we love
officially.
many of the residents of Ridgewood, and it's improved. It's changed. It's gotten much more livable, I hear, recently. But back in the 80s, it was very, very uptight.
Perfect for Flippy.
The mother is based on somebody I knew there. Luce is based on a young man when I taught in the high school who wanted to belong to the flag squad and was not allowed.
Oh, wow.
All women's flag squad, and he was absolutely not allowed, and he was made fun of and practically laughed out of the school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Elf.
Whenever you go home, if you've been away for a long time, you fall right back into those cycles, and it's just, this is taken to the level of drama. It's just really a very, very destructive cycle that the kids are trying to break out of. Well, they're trapped in a bigger thing than the attic. They're trapped in this unhealthy family.
In this conversation you had with Lee last night, I just caught little snippets of it, but it was sort of this fascinating perspective of having this poet, this sort of literary oral person be illiterate and unable to write. And so I just wanted to talk to you about that for a second. I think it's an interesting juxtaposition. And what is that about for you?
I always like to look at the flip side of a person. Not just take what you see, but think what is behind this person, what more is there. You see lots and lots of people whose potential is not allowed to come out.
Right.
And I feel I am so lucky to be able to, I was an artist before I started writing plays, and I've always been able to pretty much do what I want and express myself. And my kids too. I have a musician, a couple of musicians for kids, and they can do what they want with their music. I feel awful for people who can't do that. Here's a girl in the play who, just because she didn't do well in school or didn't have opportunities and really had a crummy childhood, and yet she has all this soul of a poet, and she speaks poetry. Nobody is going to see that in her except the boy in the play does. And the whole family, the kids just think she's fabulous.
Because of their language of imagination.
Because of her facility with language, and they feed right into that. And that's more important than the surfacey stuff.
Right.
The having money like the people in Ridgewood do there.
Okay. So redefining sort of wealth in a way, in this artistic way.
Very well put.
Well, thank you.
They do both. They swim and fly.
Talk about the invisible character and the ominous quality of this overbearing kind of mother figure. Holy mackerel. That's amazing.
Oh, she's a very sad person. She's trapped herself. She's managed to make a life where she is trapped in her body, which she's probably about 300 pounds, 250 maybe. She has a real problem with alcohol, but mostly she feels like if she can only be accepted in this town, everything will be okay. It'll be wonderful for her kids. She'll have a happy family. She's trapped herself. She's the antithesis of the poet girl.
If you want to say it, okay. This is a flippy.
It was workshopped out at the Cleveland Public Theater, and then it was read by New Jersey Repertory Company last year, and a couple of other places. There was a group in New York that worked on it for a long time just because the actors and director loved the play so much.
That's wonderful.
But it hasn't been produced before, and I think one of the reasons is because it's very difficult to read. There's a lot of role playing in it,
Right.
And give Venus a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, smart people that you could read this
Thanks.
and get it. The woman who's directing it, Lee.
McKeska Gardner.
Thank you, McKeska. I wasn't sure how to say it. She's
Brilliant.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you touch on this, the imagination, and this is when we get into the Jean Genet element of the maids. And so this is just really a riff on the imaginative play, the role play.
Yeah.
Would you say influenced by that
Well,
in that way?
in that play, the maids are playing their boss lady, and they don't like her.
Okay.
And it goes to very scary and bizarre places. So there's the parallel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, maximum, we could maybe seat 50 people, and we're actually putting them in the attic with this family. How do you feel about world premiering this work in such an intimate environment?
Well, I think it's perfect.
Sure.
I think it's fabulous.
Good.
And it's going to just intensify everything. Oh, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming down and being such a part of our developmental process. It's been great having you, and
Thank you.
looking forward to tonight's rehearsal with you. And then we'll see you on opening after that. Yes?
Absolutely.
All right. Good flippy. Thank you so much.